Here's how to make it. First of all, we'll start with some spray starch, or you can use Best Press. Give it a spray. This really helps to give the fabric some body. Now, sometimes the panels can be a little out of sync and warped. All you've got to do is just pull on the bias either way to stretch it back into shape. You'll find that this really works and does bring the panel into more of an alignment. So do that if you need to. You can see, like here, that was a bit wobbly, so I'm just pulling it, stretching it back into a proper shape that it fits. You can see now the lines are much more parallel and in sync with each other. So after an iron, we're ready to start doing our pleats, and that's the easiest thing about this panel. There's no cutting any of the individual squares out. So you find that first fold, and because you've spray starched this fabric, you can literally finger press that fold all the way along, and look, it's still holding there because of the starch. After that finger press fold, go up to the top of where the pocket would be and then press that down. And then when that's in position and you've done all the layers, you can then give it an iron. Just to double check, you see there, you can see how it concertinas up, and then you would fold down to create the pocket. Again, I finger press all along that fold, top of the numbers. You try and get that line just over the edge because you don't want to see that iron there. There you go. And again, once you've done that, you can see how it holds its shape because of that starch. You'll then lift up that fold and then flatten it down again. And it's fine with a finger press and a hand press. Take it over to the iron at the end once you've done all those folds. It's so less fiddly than the old-fashioned cutting every single box out or doing a box pleat on some of them. It's so effective. So there we go. And you can see how the pockets will be formed. So I'm now over at the iron, ironing it down in place. There we go. And this is where you can see how the pockets are formed there. And again, if it's out of sync and sort of lost its shape, just re-pull back in whichever square it is to get it more in alignment. And one final press before we go to the sewing machine. I've clipped it into place on the folds. And as you can see there, it's still out of sync. I need to get those lines right so it's flowing much better. There we go. It is just 7 lines from top down to bottom in between each pocket. So in the sewing machine, I'm going to have a metallic needle, super long, great eye as well, and we'll go through extra layers. Each channel between the pockets is 1/2 inch wide. So in the middle, 1/4 inch is where I need to put my needle. I'm going to have the edge of my presser foot on the right, so I'm going to move my needle to the right. Your sewing machines will all be different, so just find the right position for you. Now, what's easiest to do is to sew up, holding the edge of the pocket, align it to the corners, and now pull towards you so it's flat. You're then ready to sew upwards, and then do a reverse stitch just to give it some reinforcement. So here I go upwards, stop, I reverse for reinforcement, and then I'll go forward again. And then I'll stop because I want to align my next layer of pockets. Pull it towards me. You might find you need to push the underside down a bit and back, and then pull it towards you and flat. Reverse, reinforce, go forward again. And then again, align the next pocket, pull it towards you, and repeat. Now, when you get to the end, you'll have very little to hold on to, as you can see here. It's still the same principle, but you've got not much fabric there, so it's just a bit fiddly with the ends, holding the ends. But as you can see, that same principle, line it up, go forward, back and reinforce. Now the first line is different. You could turn the whole thing round and go top down, but I find it was just a bit awkward with going over the pocket edge. So I think it's just easier, carry on, do bottom up, but realign your presser foot and adjust your needle to the right position. And sew that last line. And there you have it. There are your pockets all done. So now we have to put this onto our wadding to give it some sort of structure and some thickness. I've used fusible wadding so I can stick it down to one side even quicker. Hardly any quilting needed then. So there we are, over to the iron, placing it down on top, gluing down the top to the wadding, and that's done. You could just finish there, but I'm going to do a bit of quilting. I'm going to go around the arc at the top and then round the rooftops and just go around across just to give it a bit more body. And there you are. You can see what the quilting is. And there's no need to do the pockets because they're stuck down. Now we're going to trim down to the dotted line all the way around and get your backing ready. I've used simple Calico, great, nice and cheap. No one's going to see the back. Cut that down to the same, that dotted line that we've just cut out. Now we have to make our sleeve because we have to be able to hang this advent calendar. I've got simple red plain fabric. It's just a bit smaller than the width of the advent, and I've used fabric that's 5.5 inches wide. Hem the short sides, fold pretty sides together, and then hem the long side and turn it right way out. I used that safety pin and string idea. There it is, right side out. Now we're going to place it together. Get your Calico pretty side facing you. Then get your sleeve, again, pretty side facing you. You should be able to see I've done the hem in the middle, so that's facing the wall when it's hanging. And place it in the middle. You can see here it's a bit smaller than the actual advent calendar, which is right. And then with the actual advent pockets, pretty side, facing the pretty side of your bottom fabric, or you can, that's why I've written it on the Calico, because you can do either for that. And then go round and clip it together. And now we're going to go and do some sewing all the way round because we're going to bag it right way out. So here we go. You can see I've clipped it. You're going to sew all the way around. You're going to leave a turning gap as the size of your hand so you can get your hand in. But the reason why we've chosen Calico is because you can see through, and that's where we're going to sew on that outer edge line. So I've placed my presser foot on the left hand of that red line, and I'm going to move my needle to the right as close to the edge as possible and sew all the way round. And there we are, you can see that's the effect. So close to that outer edge, but no white showing. And there's my hole. So I went forward, back, I didn't cut my thread, just pulled it down, forward, back, and carried on sewing. And that's how the turning hole will look. Now, when it comes to sewing the top part, it's going to be difficult because the sleeve is in the way. So I purposely went to the outer edge and just basted it in with my sewing machine. You can see how wobbly it is guessing. But then what I did is, when I stopped at the end, I turned it over, went back to my sewing machine and just followed it through, looking through the wadding. So I placed my presser foot on that edge and there's my line. Perfect. It's close to the edge but not showing any white. And there we have it. So now all we've got to do is turn it right side out through that hole. And this is why you need that forward back reinforcement, because if you're putting your hand in and pulling it through, you don't really want any popped stitches. Now what you've got to do is fold that turning hole through down and make it nice and neat. Get the iron, press it down, and then you can choose how to sew it up. You can either just with the needle and thread sew it up by hand, or like I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a top stitch as close to that edge all the way round. And there you have it, the finished Advent fold up Scandi Advent calendar. Wonderful. Good luck with making it.